Hello and welcome. This is a short video in response to ArcherSage, who published a video saying entitled Apollo 10 Busted. And this is the video that ArcherSage put on the internet. I got in touch with him via the comment section and pointed out that he'd made a major error in this video, and gave him an opportunity to take the video down and maybe publish something saying why he'd got this particular main point in his video wrong. We've had a little bit of a dialogue, and he has asked me. He's basically said, "Go on then, post a video." I have a longer version of this video that goes into more detail, but I wanted to do a short one. So this is ArcherSage's video.
Just want to make a video about the Apollo 10 mission, which was the first, guys to actually go around the moon.
Okay, so he starts by the very first comment that he makes is that it's Apollo 10 was the first Apollo mission to go around the moon. It wasn't. Apollo 8 went around the moon. Apollo 10 was dress rehearsal for the Apollo 11 moon landing. It did a lot more than Apollo 8 did, but however, a minor error. Now I'm going to skip slightly through his video to get to the bits that actually matter to us. So the first part is a little bit of a rant on his part about zero-G and how things were faked by the in his eyes faked by the Apollo missions and by NASA.
Copy. We have you entering the lunar penumbra at this time. Do you notice the sun setting at all? Over. I can't see the sun right now, Charlie. Roger. We're not in the right attitude to see it.
So, and this is the major point. The astronaut is asked the question about whether he can see the sun setting. The mission control points out that they are entering the penumbra, and asks if he can see the sun setting, and the astronaut replies that he can't actually see the sun right now. We're not in the correct attitude to see the sun. So that's absolutely fine as far as I'm concerned. You can actually see sunlight, reflected sunlight, coming in through one of the windows here. So clearly the sun would be visible, or at least reflected sunlight would be visible, and the spacecraft is in sunlight. However, we'll prove that point very shortly.
The dark side of the moon is facing the astronauts. The sun is beyond it.
So the voice you heard there is a TV commentator or announcer saying that the dark side of the moon is where the astronauts are. He's got that wrong as well. He's simply commenting on a TV program, and this is edited footage from the Apollo mission. This is not the actual footage. It's not even shown in correct sequence.
As a result, they're not able to see the sun, nor are they able to see the moon.
Now, they just said they're not able to see the sun and the moon. They're on the other side of the moon right now,
And ArcherSage makes the same mistake, parroting what the TV announcer has said, that they are on the dark side of the moon and are unable to see the sun or the moon. He doesn't actually believe they're on the dark side of the moon. ArcherSage believes that they're in low Earth orbit. But he is repeating what the TV announcer says, and saying that the claim is that they were on the dark side of the moon. Now, I don't want to waste time explaining about the dark side and the light side of the moon. What we call the dark side of the moon is the side that faces away from the Earth all the time. It in fact is not dark. It is lit just as often and just as much by the sun as the side that we can see. However, not wishing to go into any detail, the claim is that they can't see the sun, that they're in shadow, that they're in shade. And this is nonsense, and I shall now prove why. So this is a different video, also from YouTube, but it contains the part of the full mission. There are actually 30 parts. This is part 14. And this is where the TV company got the original footage that they edited slightly.
The North African continent, most of Europe is covered by either high clouds or some scattered low clouds. It's very difficult for us to see it too.
So the early part of this particular video, it starts with an animation, show something about the spacecraft and the Earth. It then shows the Earth as viewed from the spacecraft as a small, and if I scroll through here, you can see this in the bottom corner, a small spherical object in view through one of the windows. Now, as we go on through the they then transition to going into the spacecraft. As we go through that particular footage, we'll get to this point here, and this is used in ArcherSage's video to claim that the Earth, they're in low Earth orbit and the Earth is visible.
Do you read, over?
Go ahead, Charlie.
Roger, thought we'd lost voice there for a moment. You're coming in 5i now. We got your arm patch now that's very dim at this setting. We had Gene's smiling face there for a minute with along with your patch. The flag is coming in a little bit better now. However, it's still pretty dark due to the bright background. That's a lot better there at 10. Over. There, we have a good view now. Now we can see Gene again in his...
And this is the point in ArcherSage's video, I shall return there in a moment, where he claims we can see the Earth. This is a round window through the entry-exit hatch for the space capsule, and he claims that this is the Earth and the Earth's horizon. And I'm just going to flip back to his video to show you that particular point. So back in ArcherSage's video, and let's play the same little piece of footage that he has in his video.
Coming in a little bit better now, however, it's still pretty dark due to the bright background. That's a lot better there at 10. Over.
It's Gene Cernan.
There, we have a good view now. Now we can see Gene again in his...
And there's your horizon of the Earth. They're supposed to be on the other side of the moon. I don't know how they could possibly explain this. Now, there are those that say, well, you see some curvature. Well, I think it could just be a combination of things, as well as the window itself being slightly curved. But the Earth doesn't even look quite right through the window anyway, but it's very...
So that was ArcherSage claiming that this is the Earth seen through the window. And he is completely wrong. And I will go back to the real mission footage and some other evidence to show you why he is wrong. So back in the real mission footage, which was edited for the section that ArcherSage has in his video, and we'll continue to play the footage. It's interesting that ArcherSage actually doesn't allow the image to continue to be shown like it does here. He stops at the earlier picture with the red line drawn across it, and simply remains with that assertion that this is the Earth. There is no evidence that what you're seeing here is the Earth. In fact, it doesn't even look like the Earth now. It doesn't even look remotely like the Earth. We can see the whole window is a kind of grey-blue colour due to the sunlight that is being reflected onto it and through it. It is diffracting and refracting and so on. We can see the circular interior portion of the window here and the horizon going across it, and you start to get an idea of just how deep this window is. And you also can see some of the circular rim. This is just the circular part of the window going on around here. In fact, and you can see a vertical line here. This vertical line and not vertical but straight line, and a straight line here. These are actually the outer parts of the window. The outer part of the window goes down like this and goes along like this, goes past the interior circular part here because of the angle that we're viewing it, and will go up the side here and then back along the top here. And so what we have here is sunlight reflecting from this particular part of the window. I'll play a little bit more of this footage and then switch. So you can see here, this is another window, and you can see bright light again coming in through here. Bright sunlight coming in through here. This is not the Earth, this is bright sunlight.
We see you waving, Gene. Barbara's in the viewing room. She says hi.
So here the astronaut is putting his hand in front of this window because the light coming in is too bright, and they wanted to get better vision of his face.
A little difficult to get the proper lighting up here, Charlie. The spot's flooded out, and we got to deflect the light.
Roger, we see you trying hard on the thing. It looks like the ALC is averaging out, and the background looks real good.
In fact, the window here is this portion, and what he's putting his hand over is actually a light, a spot. Remember, they mentioned it. They have spotlights up here to illuminate the inside of the spacecraft for photography, and also obviously for them to be able to see what they're doing. They have lights. The window is actually this part here, and the sun was shining in through this angle. So because this is facing further away, sunlight is reflecting off this side of the window, and the light here is illuminating the remainder.
Good, the spacecraft back along the hatch. Tom's hand is covering his window, is real clear. His face is dark though.
So we can move on just a little bit.
You're coming in real great, over.
And you can see the circular window here, and the part of this is still part of the interior of the window.
Okay.
And as they move back, you see what ArcherSage was going to claim is the horizon.
There's our overhead hatch window there.
Notice there's absolutely no attempt by NASA to cover this up. Okay, and you can see this is the outer part of the window, which is straight along here. It goes straight down here, has a curved edge, and down at the bottom here, where it's brightly lit by the sunlight, is curved and then goes straight along. It's a little bit better in view there and here, curved and straight along. Because of the shape, it goes on a little bit past here and then straight up the side here. You can maybe just start to see it going straight up the side there before going back.
10, Houston, we see some specs on your hatch window. Could you comment on those?
So, can I back any of this up? Well, the first point to make is that this brightly lit portion never moves. It stays the same relative to the window. It never moves up or down the window. If you're moving a camera around close to the window and the Earth was outside some 100, 200 miles below, or even 200,000 feet below, you would see the Earth moving relative to the camera. The horizon line, if there were one, would move relative to the camera up and down the window. It doesn't do that. This is bright white, it's not blue. Okay, now yes, there's a lot of cloud, there are icy poles and so on the Earth, but it is not blue. It's the light hitting the window which gives a slightly blue hue to the whole thing. Let's have a look at what the Apollo space capsule windows actually look like. So this is a screenshot from that video showing the circular interior part of the window. And we're looking almost straight at it here, and so we can see the Earth as ArcherSage would have it here. And what I claim is actually happening is that this is the outer part of the window, which is there is sunlight reflecting from that, and you're getting a very bright glare of sunlight from this place. If we look at the Apollo capsule, you can see the hatch and you can see the circular window here. And if you look, you can see how deep this window actually is, and you can start to see that there is a vertical portion here, a straight edge portion. It's not circular on the outside. Moving on, we show you from the outside. So here is the shape of the window that I pointed out in a previous video, and the spotlight was near to that. And here is the capsule, the escape hatch window. You can see the circular window inside, and you can see the shape of the window from the outside. Any sunlight striking down onto here would be reflected by the surfaces along here and up and be seen through the window. Here's looking at it from the opposite side or the outside. You can see the straight line edge, the circular interior of the window, and just how deep that particular section of the capsule is. The capsule was quite a solid structure. People don't seem to appreciate it. It had to withstand not only the vacuum of space but also re-entry. Shown from this side, and here is the perfect picture showing this flat and horizontal or flat and straight line here, and this would be what was reflecting the sunlight. It's brown in these shots, but would actually have been a highly reflective silver or white color when the spacecraft was in lunar orbit. The discoloration is caused by the re-entry, and this is the capsule after re-entry. Zooming in, you see the straight line, and zooming in even more to make it even more clear. And the distance from here to here is considerable. We are viewing it at a shallow angle, and because we're viewing it at an angle, it doesn't give quite the same impression. But the earlier pictures give you a much better idea of how deep that particular image, that distance actually is. So this is a transcript of the conversations that took place in that particular mission, and this part of the transcript points out what was seen in the early part of ArcherSage's video. He says, or he is asked, "We have you entering the lunar penumbra at this time. Do you notice the sunset setting at all?" "We can't see the sun right now, Charlie. We are not in the right attitude to see it. In this attitude, to look at the Earth and everything, we can't get a picture of the sun that we can see. If there is any solar corona, we will give it a quick shot." Because part of them, what they were hoping to do was to get a picture of the solar corona as the sun set over the moon's horizon from their point of view. And they said that they would try to do that, but from the attitude that the spacecraft was in, they couldn't actually see the sun at that point. That is not the same as saying the sunlight is not shining on the spacecraft. The sun is clearly shining on the spacecraft. And now we have the really, really good bit, because this conversation is timed at 3 days, 0 hours, 50 minutes, and around about 40 to 50 seconds. And the shot through the window, which is shown happening after this conversation on ArcherSage's video actually took place before ArcherSage's this conversation took place. And if we scroll back in time, I just need to check where we're going back to. 44 minutes and 32 seconds. Here we are. He says, we've got your arm patch now. That's very dim at this setting. We had Jean's smiling face there for a minute, along with your patch. The flag is coming in a little bit better now. However, it's still pretty dark due to the bright background. That's a lot better there. Over. We have a good view now. Now we can see Jean again. We see you waving, Jean. Barbara is in the viewing room. She says hi. And this conversation is what took place prior and is where the shot of the Earth is taking place. Okay, remember, the spots flooded out. We've got to deflect the light. Remember, I pointed that part of the conversation out. This is happening before the astronaut at 50 minutes says, in this attitude to look at the Earth and everything, we can't get a picture of the sun that we can see. If there is any solar corona, we will give that a quick shot. Give it a quick shot. That means that the sun has not yet set. Houston is telling them that they have not yet passed into darkness. We have you entering the lunar penumbra. That means before sunset. So this is ArcherSage's video again, and showing his horizontal line and what he claims is the Earth. This is not the Earth. This is reflected sunlight from the exterior of the ship. What evidence does he present that this is the Earth? Well, the only evidence he presents is his assertion that it is the Earth. He presents a feeling that this is a blue object and therefore is the Earth. But it clearly isn't a blue object, as we've seen in the other footage. It's a bright reflection of light. The blue is only caused by the nature of the windows and so on. There is absolutely no reason to assume that this is the Earth at all. It doesn't change in its vertical height relative to the rest of the window. It doesn't move around. You can't see any clouds. You can't see any definition of it at all. It is a bold assertion when there is a perfectly reasonable explanation for why you see this particular thing. I'm sure that ArcherSage will still argue, oh, it's the Earth, you haven't proved it's not the Earth. Well, I disagree. Okay, the spacecraft is constructed in a way, and we know that the spacecraft is in bright sunlight at the time this image is took, and there is no reason at all why you should assume that this is the Earth rather than reflection from the outside of the window. So I'll stop here. I do have more, but I want to give ArcherSage a chance to see this and perhaps revise his opinion. I've shown they were not in darkness. I've shown how the windows would reflect light to create the effect seen. The evidence that they orbited the moon in a dress rehearsal for Apollo 11 is vast, and I will use it if I have to. So over to you, ArcherSage. What do you say?